after the webinar, right? Uh, Now, I just want to start by saying to all of you that we do have a specific Cambridge website for the US. You can check it out after this webinar, and you will have tons and tons of information related to US universities as well, right? Now, before I begin, I just want to say thank you once again to our presenters, Iqbal as well as Kerry. And with that, please, Iqbal, I hand over the mic to you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, anybody here, can you guys hear my voice? If you
Yes.
yes, all right, thank you so much. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Kamal Mamat. Thank you so okay. I think we met before, Carrie, I guess. You know. All right. Okay. Thank you so much for inviting Education USA Indonesia, and we are so pleased to be here because this is part of our job where we talk with the student, we talk with the parents, where to do kind of like a little bit promotions, how student get a well informed information about preparing their studying in the United States. Okay, I think because the time is limited, and I will go with my slide first. Let me. Okay, yes. Okay, this is mine. There you go. I hope you guys can see it. Okay, as Mr. Kamal mentioned that I am Muhammad Iqbal. I am working as Education USA advisor. I am based in the US Embassy, Jakarta. So most of you, I believe that knows Education USA. But if you haven't heard anything about Education USA, I think this is the time for you to know us a little bit and how utilize us as a resource that you can use anytime in terms of preparing your application studying in the United States. So as you can see here that we are Education USA is a U.S. Department of State network with 400 advising centers in more than 170 countries, and we are officially from government. Okay, that's the first thing that you should know about us, and we are from government, and we are all over the world, and I believe that you guys who attend this session right now is not only from Indonesia, and that's from New Zealand, from China, from Malaysia, and you check with your Education USA center in your place and talk with your advisors right there. And Education USA is, as you can see here, is committed to promoting the first city of U.S. higher education, and we're trying to help Indonesia and we're trying to help international students find their best fit. Okay, so probably I'm going to use a lot as a best fit during my presentation because that's the terms that we use because best fit is mean that the students can study. It doesn't have to be like you study in the top Ivy League school. Okay, so because if you talk about Indonesian itself, a lot of Indonesian it's so so brand minded because they're trying to look only for Ivy League school, but it doesn't mean that all Indonesian have to study in the top school. Okay, they have to find their best fit in terms of their academic profile, in terms of their test score, in terms of the program they're looking for. That's in the end of the day. The school that they accept, the school that they're being accepted is the best fit for them. That's always we want to tell people, try find the best fit university in the United States. Okay, so advisor, we have a bunch of kind of advisor here in Indonesia, and I believe that in your center as well. So the advisor is giving an accurate and comprehensive and current and unbiased information about the higher education. So if you're talking with the advisor, that is the right way, because we are not representing one university. We are representing the whole university in the United States. We are not an agent, okay? We are not like, okay, partial, we're only working with certain university. We are totally not like that. We're trying to accommodate as long as you can commit with us in terms of advising and anything that you need guys need from us. Okay. Right. Okay. So here, six center and seven advisor, Education USA in Indonesia. And if sorry guys, if you are not from Indonesia, unfortunately, what I suggest here is this is if you are Indonesia, just check it out with us and anytime. Because I'm based in Jakarta, you can check email us jakarta at educationusa.org. But right now, since still everything still doing on virtual, probably you can email us, but in the future probably you can meet our advisor in their center, but here the center that you can find. Okay, but for another centers, another student from another country, how to find the advising center, go to here. You want to screenshot about this and you can do that later, that's fine as well. educationusa.state.gov and find advising center. So find your location and how many centers that you have and check with the centers and how many advisor and talk with them. That is the good resources that you can try on right now. Okay, this is services. Okay, this is still about us. Okay, we free of charge services. We everything that we do, everything that we provide, kind of the services that we do is free of charge, right? And then we assist you on determining the best fit university for you, checks your CV, resume evaluation, checking the admission essay, scholarship and fellowship information if you have, and university admission and other application requirements if you ask that questions, mock-up interview. So some student is it's come to us and ask different kind of the questions. It depend. You can talk to us and depend on the questions you want to ask. Okay, you don't have to ask all the thing. Okay, so here's the thing. Yeah, here's the thing that we can help people. All right, why study in the US? All right, okay, why study in the US? I believe um, you have your own opinion on that. Yeah, you have your own opinion on that. Why US is still my next destination for my pursuing higher education in the United States. So I just compile a little bit from other resources, and this is the first thing why you have to study in the United States is about the quality, excellent education. Okay, so known for the quality and the flexibility of its facilities and faculty and program, and most prestigious top-ranked school in the world. Okay, all right, choice. That's a lot. Thousand of accredited US colleges. Right now, if you want to know, there are about like 4,000, like more than 4,700 accredited institution in the United States. So that's a lot of choices that you can choose. We're talking about the program. There's a lot of variety program. Okay, there is a wide range of schools, countless area of study and specialty degrees. Okay, and resources. All right, and cutting edge technology and resources. If you are so into in the research kind of thing, there's so many budgets for research, and then work collaborative as well. That is a good thing about the United States. And also for the last one is networking. And if you're studying in the United States and you have a strong professional network, and right now it is over 1 million international students studying in the United States. That's a lot. Okay, top 8 field study for international student in. Okay, there you go. Okay, top 8. Most of international studying for engineering, math and computer science, business and management. This is top 3. All right. If you can see social science, physical life science, fine applied arts. But if you're talking about Indonesia itself, most of students looking for business management, math and computer science, as well as engineering. So I think that's the top 3 is not only in Indonesia, but also for another country as well. So this is top 3. And this is one of one out of three international students studies in California, New York, and Texas, as you can see here on the screen. And where do international students mostly study at? Okay, here's the thing. But you don't have to study in those kind of universities. Okay, this is if you want to check the numbers, this is most of international student study the place at the university. Okay, I got only 24, but the thing is, in the end of the day, not because of university first, but what you have to look it up at yourself first, and then try to look for what the thing that from yourself, and then in the end, and then look for, see for the university what they is that fit for you or not. So that's what we call that the best fit university for you. Okay, it can be University of Wisconsin. It can be Texas A&M University College Station is your best fit. It can be SUNY University Buffalo. It can be University of Pennsylvania. It can be other university. So in the end of the day, you have to look it up at yourself first. Okay, what is the thing that you have before you apply to the university that you're looking for? Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the studying in the US with Cambridge qualification. And unfortunately, if you ask so deep about these questions, I might not have the answer yet. Okay, let's see that what I have here. Okay, a lot of my advisee studying in the Cambridge qualification, because there's so many school here that using the Cambridge qualification, and most of them using A level or AS level, and that is you can use that your A or AS level to study in the United States. As you can see here, that more than 740 institutions across the United States formally recognize Cambridge qualifications. Okay, so this is a good news for you. Okay, so I believe that in the future there's going to be more and more institutions will be recognized for this Cambridge qualification. I think this is good for you. That's including Ivy League institution as well. Okay. All right. Okay. I probably Mr. Kamat and the team, I will talk a little bit on that. But if you can see here, I might gonna choose like Boston University, for example. Okay. So do they accept the student from Cambridge qualification? Yes, they do. Cambridge International A-Level are recognized for matriculation purposes. Advanced placement is granted for A-Level passes of a C or better. The policy states that a credit, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but this information might not appear on their website. It might not appear, it might appear. So if does not appear in their website, what you have to do is you have to ask, talk, or communicate with the admissions, tell your case and tell your inquiries about your concern. Okay, I am from AS level, or I'm from Cambridge qualification. How do I apply? Do I apply through a Cambridge qualifications curriculum? Blah blah blah. Okay, that's what you have to do, and that's what you have to do. Okay, and there's another one from Cornell University, and it's the same thing. And Duke University. I'm sorry, I chose top school here, Harvard University, but there's just so many other university that also recognize for Cambridge qualification. Okay, probably that's it, I guess. This is our contact. This is social media that if you want to follow, that's a bunch of things that we post in our social media. We are so active in Instagram, Facebook a little bit, and Twitter, yes. And if you want to book ourselves, if you want to book and talk with our advisor, you can go with calendly.com or EducationUSA Indonesia. And then this is upcoming event. Okay, this is a cool thing, the cool event that we're about to do with University of California system. Okay, take a picture, take a screenshot on this. Don't forget to register. And this is going to be on the Wednesday, April 6, 2022. It's going to be like 7 p.m. Indonesia Jakarta time. Okay, there is going to be a presenters from 4 university from UC Berkeley. Okay, that's a great session if you're planning particularly studying in the University of California in the future. All right, I guess I might stop my slide and then okay, probably I'm gonna take a question and answer in the end. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Iqbal. I just want to recap what you said about the credit policies from universities. It
Mhm.
is important, if you could not find the information online, to directly contact the admission counselors or admission officers in
Yes.
universities to, to find out more about the credit policies for Cambridge students. Thank you so much, Iqbal, once
Mhm.
again. Now we would like to hand over the mic to Ms. Carrie Fayaraban from SUNY Binghamton. Carrie, over to you, please.
Thank you, Kamal. So my name is Carrie. I am an international admissions counselor at Binghamton University, and I'm going to kind of give an overview of just the process of what it takes from start to finish to study in the US. And then I will give our example of A level and AS level exams and how Binghamton accepts those credits and what that looks like. So Binghamton is the #1 public university in New York State. We've also been called a public Ivy, so that Ivy League quality education, but at a public university price, so not nearly as costly. And we are in the top 40 public universities in the US as well. So a very well-known school and a mid-sized school, so kind of that perfect middle size there. And I'll talk a little bit more about Binghamton in a little bit. But as far as the admissions process goes for universities in the US, I'm going to talk about these main components that are really important for you as a student to focus on. The first is communication. So you really need to make sure that you are connecting with the universities that you're applying to or you're intending to apply to early and often. The earlier you talk to those colleges and universities and communicate with them, they will know your intention and be able to help you along the way. That is what we are here for. So, whether it's setting up a one on one meeting or sending us an email asking what programs we have or when the deadlines are or anything about the admissions process, what English proficiency requirements we may need, which we'll talk about in a little bit, all of those things are really important for you to focus on. And then really make sure that you are reading your email. Those emails are very, very important. That is the main form of communication in the US. And so when colleges are communicating with you, they're going to be sending emails to you. One thing to note, if you are a Gmail user, sometimes those get sent to perhaps your promotions folder or your spam folder if they're coming from our automated systems. And so it's really important that you add those universities to your contacts so that you're not missing important information throughout that cycle. So for dates and timelines, generally we're looking at early November, November 1st is an early action or early decision deadline when you're applying for a May 1st of the following year to pay a deposit. Now, there's a distinction between those two. An early action is non-binding. You can apply early action and still decide to attend a different school, and you still have all the way until May 1st to make your decision. Early decision means once you apply to that school, if they accept you, you must withdraw your application from all other schools and commit to that one school. So those are two very clear distinctions of early action versus early decision, but they generally happen around that November 1 timeframe. And then for regular decision, those dates are going to vary. So make sure you're connecting with whichever schools and universities you are applying to. At Binghamton, that is March 15th. So we're just past what we call our priority filing date. It is not a hard deadline. So Binghamton is still open for applications for the fall of 2022 semester, as many schools may be. It really depends on each school. Again, for us, it is a priority filing date. It's not a specific hard deadline. And as long as you're able to submit that application through the Common App, you are still able to apply. And if there's space available, we may try to accommodate that as well. As far as application requirements, I'll talk about that a little bit at the end as well. But we're looking at your most recent 3 years of high school transcripts, your English proficiency exam. But we're also looking at your application and your essay, your letters of recommendation. Most schools in the US are doing a fully holistic review. So there's not one particular component that is more important than the other, but we're looking at you as a student and whether you're going to fit into the school that we are assessing for. So for us, it would be Binghamton. And then of course, we are at Binghamton, our SAT, ACT optional for fall of 2023 and fall of 2022. But again, some schools may be going back to requiring SAT or may not look at the SAT even if you do choose to submit it. So asking the school what their SAT policies are is very important. And then the enrollment deadline is generally going to be May 1st. That's kind of the national enrollment and deposit date for US institutions. So for that visa process and that timeline, they kind of run parallel. When you're looking to supply your visa, an international student in the US is a student studying on an F1 visa. So as long as you're studying on an F1 visa, you would be considered an international student. If you're joining us and you're studying and you're a US citizen, you would not be considered an international student. So you may have a different deadline. Your deadline may be closer to a domestic student's deadline, but we are still reviewing those transcripts. We're still accepting those A-level Cambridge exams from you as a US student. So there's still no partiality there. It's just how you're assessed for financial aid and things like that. As far as the financial documents are concerned, if you're submitting your student financial statement or your bank statements, you can submit those even before you hear a decision from your school. The earlier you submit any financial documentations to your school, the earlier they'll be able to get you your I-20 document. You can get an I-20 document from multiple universities, and then once you commit to a university, all of those other ones will be canceled. But having that in hand earlier allows you to set up your visa interview earlier and really get that process started earlier. So there's never any harm in getting those documents to us as soon as you can. So as far as life in the US goes, I've got some pictures of Binghamton here as examples. You can see we're located in upstate New York. So we are not in New York City, but we're about a 3-hour drive away from New York City. And you can see some of those surrounding areas. So Washington, D.C. and Boston are 5 hours away, Philadelphia, 3 hours away, Pittsburgh, 5 hours away, as well as Toronto and Canada, also 5 hours away. But it's important to know what kind of environment you want to be in. So Iqbal talked a little bit about, whether you're studying and students are studying in New York and California and Texas, but you need to know whether you want to be studying in a metropolitan environment, if you want to be studying somewhere that's right in the heart of a city, if you want to be studying in a more suburban or rural environment. Binghamton is in that more suburban rural environment, but we are also completely self-contained as a residential campus. So it's not a place where students go home on the weekends. Some schools are kind of more what we consider a commuter campus. So students are there for the week or maybe come and go every day. And then on the weekends, maybe they leave. As an international student, that may not be as appealing because you're not going to be going home on the weekends. So you may want to find somewhere that you know there's going to be a lot of students involved in activities on the weekends. And so you can see at Binghamton, our picture here of our campus, there is a lot of open space as well. So do you want to be somewhere where you're transferring, among the city for classes? Do you want to be somewhere where you can walk to all of your classes in a truly residential location? Each area is going to have their own unique advantages and disadvantages. And you have to kind of find, again, just as Iqbal had said, what is that best fit for you, and where are you going to find that you're blooming and you're really doing the most for your education? But in general, if you're studying in the US, students are going to be very involved. You're going to be involved in extracurricular activities, research, internship opportunities outside of the classroom as well. And that's a really unique part of the US education. So for English language requirements in general, each school again is going to maybe accept various different exams. For Binghamton, our requirements are if you're a non-native English language speaker, we do require you to submit one of these standardized tests, whether it's TOEFL, IELTS, SAT, ACT, or Duolingo. Some schools will accept those A-level exams or an A-level English exam or even an IB exam as an English proficiency waiver, or they will waive an English proficiency exam if you've been in an English language curriculum. At Binghamton, this is not the case. That doesn't mean that it's not the case for every school. So it's important to ask, again, communicate with the schools that you're applying to make sure you know which scores they accept and if they're able to waive those requirements for you. So for that personal statement, we want to get to know you. And this is a part of the application that students always ask, is this really important? And do I really need to be submitting that personal statement? How is this going to help my application? This is absolutely somewhere where we learn who you are as a person, and it's something that you can't tell us in your application. So if you are looking to apply for an engineering degree, for example, we see that you're a great engineering student if you're taking math courses and you're taking physics courses and maybe you're taking a lot of STEM courses. We want to get to know something that we can't see in other parts of the application. If we can see that you're applying yourself in lots of extracurricular activities and you're taking, for example, you're getting involved in competitions and STEM competitions or those things, or maybe you babysit, maybe you're helping around the home. We like to see all those things so we can get a feeling of who you are as a person. And we're looking at those parts in addition to your teachers of letters of recommendation. And we're also, again, looking at those transcripts, everything as a complete picture of who you are and what you're going to contribute to our campus. And so it's not one piece of the application in particular, but that personal statement really helps us understand and get to know you as an applicant and see what you're going to bring to our university. So for Binghamton, I'll kind of give you the rundown of the application for us, as well as that cost of attendance, and explain a bit of the cost of attendance. Of course, it's going to be much higher for a private university than for a public university. But one of the main differences there is that public universities generally can't offer as much in scholarship money as a private university. Private universities may have merit-based scholarships in addition to donor-based scholarships or scholarships you must apply for, or they may have just additional funds available. For public universities, there's less funding available, but some may still offer merit-based scholarships and some may not. So it's really important to know which schools are offering what kinds of scholarships. So for Binghamton, our estimated total cost of attendance is about 47,000 US dollars. Now this does include tuition, housing, meals, and everything you would need to be a student for 1 year. And this is the amount that you would need to show on the I-20 document. And for Binghamton, our merit-based scholarships range from 5,000 to maybe 13,000 US dollars per year. Now, again, something to ask the school is if they're a residential college or a commuter college, most universities may require you to live on campus as a first year student, but after that, you can choose to move off campus. Some schools may allow you to live off campus even starting that first year. So knowing which environment you want and what your budget is, you may be able to save some money there. For Binghamton, our first year students are required to live on campus. But after that year, they can choose to live off campus. And you want to know that your budget and that affordability of the area that you're living is also sustainable. So at Binghamton, we're in the bottom 3% of cost of living standards in the entire US. So if you choose to move off campus, you can find a very reasonably priced off campus apartment. And so that total cost is really only going to go down year after year when you're attending Binghamton. For the application, there are a lot of schools that will accept the common application, but some may not. Some may accept the coalition application or their own individual application. So for Binghamton, we do accept the common application. We also accept the coalition application or the SUNY application, which is the State University of New York application. And that could be used for any of the 64 different campuses within the SUNY, the State University of New York network. And then we're looking again at those official high school transcripts for the most recent 3 years issued from each institution that you've attended. So that's going to be your grade 9, 10, and 11, perhaps your IGCSE grades, and then your AS level or that first year of your A-level grades in those term semesters. And then one non-native English speaking exam, which we talked about, those TOEFL, IELTS, SAT, ACT, and Duolingo for Binghamton. And finally, I want to share with you those A-level exam equivalency tables. And I know Iqbal had shown some examples, but this is an example at Binghamton, and you can find this right on our website. And this gives a very clear breakdown of exactly what score you would need and exactly how that credit will transfer for any AS level or A-level exam at Binghamton and the general education requirement that that's fulfilled. Now, Binghamton is very credit transfer friendly. So we accept up to 32 AP, IB, or A-level credits. So for A-level, you can see Binghamton is on a 4-credit course structure. This means that any course that you take for A-level, you could get up to 8 credits, which would equate to 2 courses at Binghamton. For AS level, it's going to be 4 credits or 1 course. So depending on how many A levels and AS level exams you take, 32 credits is equivalent to 1 full year of coursework. And this allows students to complete a 4+1 accelerated degree track, get those general education requirements done so they can pursue a double major or a major and a minor, or even graduate early. So there's a lot of things that you can do, find a really great opportunity in an internship or research in a lab for a full semester if you want to do that, have a lot more undergraduate opportunities because you're able to use those A-level exams to further your education and to get a jump start on that university degree. So some of these, chemistry is very popular, one that students may take in all these different examples within chemistry of if you're taking the AS level, how that would transfer, the A level, how that would transfer, or H1 level or H2 level for Chem 107 and Chem 108, which are 2 introductory chemistry courses and the foundation for a lot of various pre-med majors or other majors and degrees at Binghamton, and then some other common A-level equivalencies. So economics, math, further math, and physics I put as some examples. And you can see again those general education requirements which would be fulfilled. Now the entire list you can see is at the very bottom. If you want to take a screenshot of that hyperlink, you're welcome to go visit those. And I'm going to pass it back over to Kamal now.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you so much for also highlighting the credit policies in relation to Binghamton and A levels, AS level. I think that's very useful. And I just want to share some more information before we proceed to our Q&A, contextualizing our presentations to the A level and AS level. Iqbal, just now you mentioned about 740 institutions. Actually, we have improved the numbers to 850 universities or institutions officially recognizing our AS and A levels. And generally, from what we have observed, the more competitive universities actually require 3 A levels. And for other universities, there is a combination of A levels, or they can even do AS level. As has been stressed by Iqbal, do check out the individual universities that you are interested in. And I think the mantra that Iqbal shared about having the best fit remain quite very important in your selection of the universities in the US. Advanced credit is available for A levels in most universities. Advanced credit is available for AS levels in many universities, actually. I just want to perhaps encourage you to look at the different links that we provide here in terms of the state level policies, in terms of the policies from the American Council of Education, as well as how Common App has actually listed specific Cambridge courses in the website. So these are the things that you will be able to explore in the Cambridge USA website. If I can just share with you, let me just stop and go to another share. Yep. So this is the one that I mentioned to you about the Common App Updates application to include Cambridge International and American Council of Education actually have listed AS level biology, AS level chemistry, AS level psychology, as well as AS level math, for now at least, as subjects that you can get credits for. And imagine if you can get for AS level, what more for A levels. And also, generally, as I showed you earlier, if you want to know more information about credit policies, about sample credit policies, state level policies, you can go to the cambridgeinternational.org /USA for more for information. So that's going to be very helpful for you if you want to find out more information on that. I want to go back to my PowerPoint and yep. Yep. So I just want to take a minute to share with you more about the AS level recognition in the US. I think in the US, where many of the undergrad programs are 4-year programs, we have the benefit of many of the universities accepting Cambridge AS level, and many of them actually give credits for AS level, as well as Carrie has also indicated earlier for SUNY Binghamton. Unlike the UK, where they actually require you to have 3 A-levels, Australia as well for 3 A-levels, in the US, being a 4-year undergrad program, they actually accept students with AS levels. So I do encourage students to look at all the different options in relation to AS level admissions as well as A-level admissions. And to the university counselors in schools as well, I encourage you to study this acceptance of AS level in the US more rigorously, right? Now, as with other destinations, if you would like to know more, I encourage everyone to go to the website recognition.cambridgeinternational.org and go to the drop-down list, indicate United States, and you will find out exactly what are the universities that provide recognition for Cambridge qualifications, as well as the specific credit policies, right? And again, I just want to stress the importance of you reaching out to the admission officers in the specific universities of what kind of credits they offer for your subjects that you have undertaken, right? Now, with that, can I invite both Carrie and Iqbal to turn on your mic so that we can start with the Q&A. I have a series of questions here, and probably later on I will go to the pre-sent questions first, and I will probably address either to Iqbal or Carrie, or in fact for both. Michelle, Grace, Vanessa, I think you have a series of questions in the Q&A box. What are the A-levels subject requirements, AS level? I think this is really quite specific to the schools, to the universities. Do check the individual universities. I think both Carrie and Iqbal might find it hard to answer to this issue of subject requirements because it's specific to that. But what I can say, there is a question on medical degrees in the registration, and medical degrees are generally postgraduate degrees in the US. Unlike the UK, Australia, you can do it as an undergrad. For medical degrees, you need to have the first undergrad degree first before you can apply into medical schools, right? Number 3, what is the minimum band for IELTS? Carrie, can you give your university's example?
Yes. So for Binghamton, we generally give our middle 50% ranges. And that's because we don't want to give a specific set minimum. It's part of looking holistically at the application and how the student is, and sometimes those transcript grades as well. So for Binghamton, our middle 50% range is going to be about, we say a 6.3, but really, you know, a 6.0 to a 6.5 in that range. And for, you know, again, every student is going to be different, and there's no minimum set band requirement, but that overall range is going to be in a 6.0 to 6.5 for Binghamton.
Right. Carrie, can I take your point on holistic review and holistic process? Is there a particular weighting that Binghamton look at, or like, you know, what kind of a percentages that we are looking at in terms of the different aspects of in the whole application process, like
Yeah.
the academic scores, you know, extracurricular, so on?
So it's always going to start with strong academics. And, we are going to look at that transcript and we want to see that students are challenging themselves in the coursework that they've been offered and that they've been given. So if you're offered A levels, are you taking those A level exams? Are you, taking and doing well in those courses? That's generally where most schools are going to start. But then beyond that, we want to get a good picture of who you are as a student. Maybe if you're not doing so well in those transcripts, there's a reason in other parts of your application where we can understand why, or understand if there's specific circumstances that make you who you are. And if there are other ways that you recognize you're going to be a great student to contribute to this school, and ultimately you're going to succeed at the school that we're trying to bring you into. And that's really what we want, is to set students up for success. And so sometimes knowing the resources that we have available and what that student's level is at, that may not be possible. And we want to make sure that we're getting students off on the right foot and allowing them the resources that we have available. So if for example, Binghamton doesn't have the resources to really make a student successful given their current English proficiency and where Binghamton is at, maybe that it's not the right fit for them. And I know Iqbal talked about best fit as well. You want to be supported and know that you're able to succeed. But holistic also means we're looking at that essay that I touched on when I was talking, as well as those teacher recommendations, to get a clear picture of who this student is and what they're going to contribute to our campus. So it definitely starts with that transcript and seeing, strong academics for that student and doing well in those A levels, which we know are college level coursework, and that's why we take those as advanced credit. And then going beyond that to see who that student is with those extracurriculars, that essay, and those recommendation letters.
Right. Carrie, can I invite you to scroll down a bit to the question posed by Matthew Somerville in terms of what do US schools actually look at? There is a relation to what you have just presented, but if you could
Yeah, and
elaborate on that.
that's a great question. So, Matthew, your question is, how many of the grades are checked? Is it just the exam results, or do they care about day-to-day grades? So it's going to vary for each school, but it also depends on what you submit and if that school says it's sufficient. So for Binghamton, we say we want your most recent 3 years of college of high school transcripts. So for some students, that may be their IGCSE results and your AS level results. If all we have are the results, then that's what we're going off of. If your school submits your transcripts with your term grades, then we will factor in those term grades and make those equally weighted. If they submit your term grades for all 3 years, then we'll take those into account. If they submit your term grades and your transcripts and those IGCSE results and your A-level results, then we'll look at everything in front of us. If we think there's still not enough information to truly make a decision, we will let you know, and we will reach out to you and tell you, hey, we'd like to see an extra transcript, or we actually really do need these IGCSE exam grades. And so we'll be very upfront with what we want to see from you so that we can make the best decision and the most holistic decision, as we're talking about, with what's given to us. And we will let you know if we need more.
Iqbal, with regard to holistic admissions, holistic review, can this be applied to most of the US universities and institutions as well? Can you safely say that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so I think that's echoing what the Carrie has mentioned about the holistic approach, a holistic review of the applications. So we always suggest a student do not be afraid of to apply to US university if they are not, let's say, like they're lacking of the like English test a little bit, but it's not too low, but okay, because a lot of a student like say, hey, Mr. Iqbal, I just want to apply, but I'm not confident in terms of my CV. Okay, I do not have a lot of experience. I do not have a lot of things to show to the university. But one thing that we always emphasize to students that okay, university is not only seeing your CV. They're gonna see that the thing what you apply to them. Okay, they're gonna see that your test score. They're gonna see that your experiences as well. They're gonna see what your essay. Probably your essay is a good thing. It's really good. So yeah, I think they're gonna check everything from your application, and then if they're lacking one thing and they probably is good in other things, is gonna help the student to be accepted in that university. So we always encourage students to apply and see that University in the United States is see everything in the holistic approach, and that's gonna help them to be confident when they apply. That's it.
Thanks. I think there is a question related to this by Anne Jones. Perhaps Carrie, if you can answer that, that might be something that you have some
Yes.
insights on. Yeah.
I do. So the question is, from what I understand, some U.S. universities have a policy where they want to see 4 years of English, 3 years of social science, etc. How does this requirement translate for A-level students who might not be taking English or a social science subject, but just take those STEM subjects instead? So, and this is a question of curriculum type. And when we're looking in the U.S., really, again, we want to see that you're challenging yourself in the curriculum that you're given. And so for students who are studying in a US curriculum, if they're only taking a few years of English when a normal US curriculum student would be taking 4 years of English, that it for us is indicating that that student is not challenging themselves in that curriculum type. But for A-level students, we understand that for an A-level student to earn the equivalent of a US high school degree, they need to complete three A-level subjects, and those could all be in those STEM fields. And so that's okay, because we know that they've also completed those IGCSE requirements before completing the AS level, and that
Mhm.
also moves towards that degree path. And there are English requirements and certain requirements with IGCSE or GCSE or O levels before completing those A levels. So those
Right,
two components combined are what we take for those high school equivalencies, and certainly don't discount a student who's taking an A level
right,
course if it does not have one particular subject, because it's A level. And so we know that's the structure of that curriculum.
right. Thanks, Carrie, on this. I want to go back to Michelle's questions, number 4 and 5, if I can put them together. What are the support agencies we can visit to inquire, apply for scholarships or enrollment applications? Are there any affiliate agencies in Thailand? Iqbal, can I invite you to answer this too, please, with regard to I think
Okay.
Education USA have the Thailand office as well, but if you can elaborate more on that.
Okay. What are the support agency we can visit to inquire or apply for scholarship for enrollment applications? Okay. I don't know. Is it the question is it educational agency or like
I think generally it's about, if they have
support?
questions with regard to applications as well as scholarships,
Hmm.
where they can go to. I suppose Education USA would be the
Yes.
best,
Okay.
the best for them, yeah,
Right. Okay.
yeah.
So I just want to make clear. Just want to make it clear with the questions. Yeah. I mean, Education USA is the government organization that you can ask everything. I can say. Okay. You
Mm,
can ask about the scholarship information. You can ask about the check your essay, check your personal statement, study purpose, check your information, and check your probably some university asks you to interview kind of thing. We can help you for mock-up interview as well. So that is the thing that we can help. But in terms of the scholarship itself, we do have here in Indonesia for the government scholarship, so we can help in terms of kind of that kind of things. But mostly for bachelor program, we do not have that here, but mostly for master degree or doctoral degree here in Indonesia. So we always suggest a student to we do not have a lot of information on that. We always suggest a student to ask or to look it up to university that they apply for, because I believe that
mm,
university have a certain kind of the partial scholarship that they can provide. So unless that university give that information for us and then we distribute that information. So most of the universities do not do that like that. So what we suggest is talk with the university and to ask the scholarship, is there any scholarship that they can take in, or is there any, I don't know, kind of social financial funding that they can take in, or if you're in Thailand, just take a look on your probably your government profile a little bit on that funding, or I think, or it's beside the scholarship or other kind of the support that you can go an educational agency that you might be confident to talk to. So there's a lot of things that you can do in terms of how you prepare yourself to study in the United States, I guess. So what I suggest Education USA is the best way, the best organization that you can talk to, and most of the advisor are alumni, and they are well trained, and they know how to help you, and yeah, I think that's it.
Thanks, Iqbal. I think it's important for them to try as many channels as possible. And I think Iqbal has mentioned about the website for you to look at your own
Yeah.
Education USA in your country. Go to the website Education USA, and then there's a fine advising center. You can go to your country specific and reach out to the advisors directly and
Mhm.
arrange a meeting with these advisors. Am I right? That's how the process goes,
Yes. Yep.
Iqbal? Yeah.
Mhm.
Thanks. Thanks, Iqbal. Moving on to the next question, I think we've pretty much answered that. Um, we want to, uh, sorry, with regard to the scholarship answer, I think Kabir Menon earlier on has that same question as well, so we've answered it as well. Uh, I want to go to Deborah Hughes' question. If international students wish to, stay on in the US, do they have to move to a different university? Carrie, if you can uh, share that.
No, so students, if they're applying to the US to study and they're applying on the F1 visa, generally it's going to be for the duration of their program, which will probably be 4 years for an undergraduate degree. But if students then want to stay on and pursue graduate studies or doctoral studies, they can extend that visa. And so they'll, work to renew that I-20 document. It'll be a new program now. It will be a master's program. And then we also have, so the CVIS system in the US government will do what we call a CVIS transfer. Well, they'll transfer that I-20 from one institution to another institution if the student chooses to pursue, graduate studies somewhere else, or even transfer within a university in the US.
Right. Thanks. Moving on, there's a question from Ellie. Do we apply to universities only using the Common App, or can we apply, or there are different ways to apply? Again, Carrie, if you can answer that.
So many schools are on the Common App. I would start there. There's a very long list. I also mentioned the Coalition app, which is another group of schools that use the Coalition app. Some schools only use their own individual application. So checking with each school's website to see what they accept. If they do accept the Common App, I would start there. But some schools may not be on the Common App at all, and so they may only accept their own application. So double checking and seeing which application those schools accept, and then kind of getting your list ready. Some schools may have their own school specific essay, and some may just have a general essay. For Binghamton, we only wrap the general personal statement, but some schools may require an additional statement for their specific school. So each application may be a little bit different.
So if I can jump a little bit on that,
Sure,
so
of
even
course.
like even like some state like they have their own application itself. Like for example, like Texas apply. So this only for the Texas. So probably the students not only using Common App, but they're using Texas apply to apply in the Texas university areas.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
just like
stuff like
Binghamton
that.
has the SUNY app, which is State
Right.
University of New York,
Obviously,
64
yeah,
campuses. And so we do have our own kind of SUNY system
correct,
app as well.
correct. As well as the UC system, I suppose, in California,
Yeah.
they can do the
Yes.
same. Right, right. So that's done. There is a question with regard to, the so-called, comparison of qualifications. I think I will probably invite Carrie to answer this from the university's perspective. A levels vis-a-vis IB, vis-a-vis AP. How do you view general? How do universities view these general?
Yes. So again, as long as the universities are accepting those A levels, and I know Kamal, you kind of listed the amount of schools that are accepting it, it's really just who is recognizing which accreditations and which exams. But for Binghamton, as an example, for an AP score of a 3, 4, or 5, the students are going to receive 4 credits or one course worth of coursework. For an IB score of a 4 or 5 out of a 7 scale, they would receive 4 credits, and an IB score of 6 or 7, they would receive 8 credits. For AS levels, you're receiving 4 credits, and for A levels, a score of A through D at Binghamton is going to score you 8 credits. So an A level exam is very equivalent to that higher grade in an IB exam at Binghamton, where you're receiving 8 credits or 2 courses worth of coursework. So those powers are equal. If you're looking at powers of credits and coursework, 1 course is equal to 1 course, or 2
Right.
courses for an A-level is equal to 2
Right.
courses at that higher level for IB. So they're definitely equivalent. It's just how many schools and which schools are going to accept and view those A-levels, or whether you may have to ask the school to accept those A-levels if they don't have a general policy, but once they look into the curriculum and recognize the value of that, then they may award credit. But if there's credit already in place, it's absolutely equivalent.
Right. I think I want to add on this question with regard to the where we are. Cambridge is basically well recognized at the in the US, and we actually have a higher education advisory council from many universities who are represented by many universities in the US, who actually advise us on how to improve our curriculum as well. So I just want to assure the question with regard to this question. Generally, Cambridge is very well recognized, and universities have high regard on our qualification. The last question from Mike Thundercliff with regard to the ACE program, whether it's preferred to as compared to A levels. ACE program, just to share, is mostly in the US, taken in the US. But Carrie, to give that university's perspective, will there be a difference?
It's certainly something. There's not necessarily a difference, but it's certainly something. If we see that on the application and a student is in the ACE program, just like if a student is a full IBDP student versus just taking some IB courses or the AP capstone, again, it's that next level of those already demanding courses where, if a school is considering you, for example, honors programs. So for Binghamton, we have our scholars program that we offer to the top 1 to 3% of our applicant pool, or our first year research immersion program, which is an invitation only, or our management program has a PricewaterhouseCoopers Scholars Program. Those are invitation only. Those may be things where we see the student is doing really great in their A-level exams, or they're participating in this ACE program. That's an indication to us, this is a really great student. Maybe we want to offer them some of those other, prestigious scholarship opportunities and scholars opportunities at that next level at our own schools. That's for that top echelon of students who are applying.
Yeah. Thanks, Carrie. I just want to ask, there's a question from the present list, and I probably want to ask Iqbal on this. There is a concern from schools or students or parents who are talking about, is it safe for Asian to study in the US? Will they be subjected to racism? I think this is a very valid question. Perhaps Iqbal, if you can give your perspective in terms of safety and security, and after that, perhaps Carrie can give your own view on this.
Yeah, that's the questions that I got a lot from students, especially from
Mm,
parents. Okay, their parents, they're asking about
yeah.
that. It should be okay because I studied in the United States before. Okay, my name is Muhammad Iqbal. I'm a Muslim. I have a beard and have everything. So I'm okay in United States. Nothing's wrong with me. And even like I go to the mosque, I pray. Everything is okay. It doesn't matter. So no, I think what we see from the media, that's we can't avoid that. There's a lot of issue about Asian hate crimes. So what I understand that. Choose your community wisely. Okay, even like some not community. I mean, like what I'm trying to say here is, uh, before you studying in the United States, and at least for the living, for the apartment that you're trying to look, is at least from your friends, your friends recommendation. That is the way how you can find the best community to live in the United States. Okay, so that's the thing. And other thing is, as far as concern is, because I have so many Indonesians studying in the United States right now. Even like in when the Asian hate crime, like I don't know, years ago, and I asked them how is that like, and everything's fine. What they say, okay, Black Life Matters, march everywhere, and they said I'm okay, and we live here is okay, is nothing happening with us. So
Mm,
we always see that. Here is it's always good to ask the current student how this the situation in the United States. Okay, so it can give you at least a new perspective because they're living in the United States, and then they know how, how they know how to handle themselves, and they know how to take care of themselves, and that is a good how we start, get a preferences from them.
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't think I don't
yeah.
think I have, yeah, lots to say, I guess. Come on.
Uh, Carrie, your university's perspective on this. I think safety and security is a big issue as
Safety and
well.
security is a big concern for a lot of students and parents, and
Yeah.
I think Iqbal's kind of right. There's a perspective that's seen in the media that's not really true to what real life is in the US. And if you think about how large the US is and all 50 states, the vast majority is actually quite rural. And so a lot of the universities that you're attending, they're in small college towns. So yes, you can attend, school in New York City or Los Angeles or
Mm,
Chicago or Seattle. But a lot of schools are going to be in smaller suburban kind of areas. Binghamton itself is a very small, safe city. And a lot of the schools, especially so for public schools, for Binghamton, one of those advantages is that we do have New York State trained policemen on our campus 24/7. So for private schools, sometimes they may have, security officers, but and other schools may hire policemen. But part of being a public university, and in most states, you're going to have public university and public servants who are actual New York State trained policemen, fully trained and working in the community, who are also trained in working with university students and international students right on our campus. For Binghamton, all of our dorm buildings are locked 24 hours a day. Only the students who live in those buildings can access them, which is true for the vast majority of universities in the US. And again, so do you want to live somewhere where there's, even if you're living off campus, we have an off campus housing college office who's going to help connect you with student housing, as Iqbal was mentioning, and finding friends who have lived in certain places so you know where you'd like to live and what's a safe area to live in. In Binghamton in general, it's a very safe environment, but even if you're living somewhere in a larger city, there are going to be resources for you to reach out to see what areas you can live in. Or for a lot of schools, you're required to live on campus that first year. So campuses are very, very safe, whether it's because of our policemen who are on campus all the time, or those residence halls are locked all the time. And again, a lot of schools are in areas that are not, very, very large cities. There are plenty that are, but even those, they're locked, they're safe, and students really don't find that they have any issues.
right. I just want to assure everybody that I think all the universities in the US do look at the issue of safety and security very seriously. And
Mhm.
I know from all the presentations that I've attended, many of them actually touch quite a bit on this safety and security issue, and they have undertaken measures and policies to address this comprehensively. So, likewise, for the post-COVID scenarios as well, many universities have this in place. So, do be assured on this. We are now 5 minutes past 5 p.m. I think I just want to take this opportunity to thank Kerry, for taking this time to join us early in the morning in Detroit, and Iqbal in Jakarta. Thank you so much. It has been very, very enlightening. I hope everybody has benefited from these presentations. As I mentioned earlier, I think Carrie has also given her email address. As for the rest, you can find out more about Education USA in their website, as well as the advising centers in your countries. Once again, thank you so much to the two presenters. I am Kamal, and I hope to see you again. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Thank
everyone.
you, Kamal.
Thank you so much.